Tucked away at the heart of the borough of Conwy in North Wales is the tiny village of Llangernew, and in this village, in the churchyard of St Demigods, is a yew tree. And not just any yew tree. The Llangernew tree is vast and ancient, estimated to be between 4,000 and 5,000 years old, proudly staking its claim to be the oldest living thing in Wales, arguably the oldest tree in all of Europe. Yew trees are often found in graveyards. In ancient myth they are said to symbolise death and rebirth. Their roots burrow their way through the eyes of the dead and buried, holding them in place, at least until called to rise again on the Day of Judgment. Perhaps that explains the Llangernew yew's association with the village's other legendary inhabitant, the Angelystor, the recording angel. This spirit can be seen at midnight on July 31st and again on Halloween. By some accounts, it appears at the altar of the church of St Demigods, by others at the foot of the ancient yew itself. But all agree that this spirit recites the names of those who will die in the coming year. In the 18th century, there lived in this village a tailor by the name of Shahead ap Robert. Shahead ap Robert was a young man, dismissive of the old ways and not the least bit superstitious. One Halloween, while drinking in the local pub, he mocked the tale of the Angelystor, much to the dismay of his drinking companions. The village blacksmith challenged him to spend the night in the churchyard if he was so sure there was no truth in the legend, and the young man readily agreed, for in the mind of Shahead ap Robert there was no such thing as ghosts or demons. And so, up to the churchyard he trudged, a bottle of ale still in his hand, and he sat down with his back against the trunk of the mighty yew. And he waited. The night was cold and damp, and Shahead ap Robert was no doubt uncomfortable, but he was a stubborn young man with a point to prove, so he waited and he watched. And finally, the church bell struck midnight. As the peal of the bell faded away, Shahead ap Robert heard another sound. A whispering. Byd yr ein a henfaf yn farw cyn bo hir. Byd yr ein a henfaf yn farw cyn bo hir. These I name will soon be dead. As he listened, the Angelystor began to recite its list of names, beginning with a name Shahead ap Robert could not help but recognise, and he ran from the churchyard screaming. The next day, the villagers asked him if he had seen the spirit, and what names it had spoken. Shahead ap Robert, still white as a sheet, denied everything. When he died, less than a year later though, when they buried his body in that same churchyard, the villagers knew that the name he had heard had been his own. If you are on vacation in Wales, maybe visiting the castles or hiking in the woods and the hills, you might want to visit this pretty little village with its historic church and yew. But maybe, just maybe, don't stay out after dark, especially not on Halloween night, lest the name the Angelystor intones should be your own. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe down below. And if there are other legendary creatures you would like me to cover in this series, please mention them in the comments. Thank you for watching. I hope to be back with more tales very soon.